we're never going to replace factory farming with quote unquote humane agriculture. That's just nonsense.
Welcome to the Hen Report from our hen house. I'm Jasmin Singer.
I'm Mariann Sullivan.
And this is Murray.
Aww.
And he loves me. Just a quick reminder about the Our Hen House podcast. We are on multiple times a week. Rising Anxieties comes out on Tuesdays. The Hen Report, which is this, comes out on Thursdays. The long form interview on Fridays. And bonus content for Flock members comes out on Mondays. Find us on YouTube. Find us on the podcatchers. Find us walking around Rochester, New York. Hit subscribe,
but
hit
not
like,
next
leave
week.
a comment.
Maybe walking
No,
around
not
Rochester.
next week.
That's the big announcement. We have no episodes next week. It's the first time we've ever done this. I feel so indulgent, like skipping an entire week.
Yeah, me too. I don't know what will become of us next week.
What will we talk about? Will we just podcast to each other?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
And we'll just be like, I just had coffee. What about you? I don't know. Anyway.
That's kind of what we do on the podcast, but let's do something more intelligent than that.
Okay. So speaking of more intelligent than that, this is not. But I had this little thought, and I wanted to run it by you. Okay, so this theater company that I've done a couple plays with has an annual picnic. They're a nonprofit, and so it's like a little friend-raiser thing. And I haven't gone before, and a friend of mine who's also involved with the theater company mentioned it and asked if I was going, and I said, I don't know, I don't think so. And I was thinking about why I'm not going, and it's because I don't want to be around people who I like eating animal products. I just don't feel like putting myself in that position. And then I was thinking, well, I bet a lot of people, including our listeners, would go and would bring something fabulous and would, make it vegan activism.
They're better people than you are. That's fine.
Agreed. I know. And I was thinking about if I would be honest with my friend and tell her why I wasn't going. And would that make me look nuts if I said I don't want to go because I don't want to be around people eating animal products? And then I thought, well, I could go. I've certainly gone to things like that hundreds or thousands of times in my, vegan, in my vegan tenure. And then I thought, well, but I'd be uncomfortable. And then I thought, I guess I've been uncomfortable every time I've gone. And then I thought, this is like masking. And, the word masking is I don't hear it used in this way. And this is why I wanted to bring this up.
I only hear it used of putting on masks, like during COVID.
No, like people who are neurodivergent, for example, have to kind of push away their quirks or their instincts in order to acclimate or assimilate, I should say, to society. It's called masking.
You mean not everyone does that?
I think that they more or less do, but there's a word for it now.
Okay.
There's a word for it now, which is masking, which is basically like acting as if you didn't have whatever, affliction you have. And I thought of the word masking being used in this situation, and I don't know why this felt revelatory to me, but sometimes assigning a word to something that you do regularly feels somehow
I agree.
Like the pieces finally fall into place. Yeah, and as soon as I started to think of it as masking, I felt very validated in not going. Does that resonate with you?
You felt validated in not going because you don't want to go there and have to mask?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would feel validated in not going just because I wouldn't want to go. I mean, I don't
well,
really
you wouldn't want to go
I don't really
because people
and
would
I
be
don't
there.
think I mean, yes, it's an activism opportunity, but we don't have to grab every single annoying activism opportunity. I don't think anybody's obligated to do that. It wouldn't be like some really, really powerful opportunity. If you were there, yes, you could probably say something, but I think you should go if you want to go, and you shouldn't go if you don't want to go. That's really.
Yeah.
I would not want to go. because
I
I
just
don't want to
wanted
go
to
to anything.
I just wanted to, I just wanted to bring it up within the
No,
context of
I like it.
masking in case it
I like the
resonates with
use of
someone
the
else.
word. Yeah.
So my dog Murray is on my lap right now and he's like groaning a little. And I think it's possible that the mic will pick it up. And I also think it's possible that the mic will pick up the buzzing of the fly that is for some reason in my office right now. So I just wanted
Yeah.
listeners to know if you
We're
hear something
prepared.
weird,
All right.
it's not my
We're all
tummy.
prepared.
Okay. So we wanted to chat about this discussion that has been kind of floating around various animal advocacy circles lately. And I guess the way to couch it is as animal activists, as animal protection advocates, who are our natural allies, if any? And this is something that we do get into tomorrow in our full interview with Björn Ólafsson.
Which is such a
And
great interview, and we
it's
get into it
really,
with a lot of nuance. I mean, he's
yeah,
really good on this topic.
yeah, really good. So I don't wanna, like, belabor the point because I want people to really listen to that, but since our discussion with Bjorn, you and I have chatted a little bit more about it because it's a fascinating subject and it might be an evolving subject. Like maybe the natural allies shift as culture shifts and as movements shift. And one thing that Bjorn brought up was that natural allies might be folks who purchase only cruelty-free vegan cosmetics. And of
But
course that
who are
makes
not
sense.
vegan yet.
Who are not vegan yet. And I noticed I've been watching this YouTube video, this YouTube series. The person who runs it, her handle is The Practical Mom, which I know sounds like, "Why am I watching that?" But she's, like, so brilliant about the way she looks at,
Right.
just
Sounds bad.
anyway, I know, but it's not. It's really, really insightful about just, like, consumerism. It's been very inspiring to me. I'm basically decluttering everything in my house. So in one of her decluttering videos, she opened her bathroom drawer and I was like, That's literally my bathroom drawer." Every single brand was the same. Every single brand, it was very clear that she went out of her way to get cruelty-free everything. And so she's not vegan. Would she be a natural ally? Yes.
Yeah,
So
I don't know whether I mean, cruelty-free has become so common. I'm not sure you have to make a huge effort to make sure that you're cruelty-free. I mean, if you're
well,
buying, like, any kind of, like, natural-oriented products, they're probably gonna
the
be
reason
cruelty-free.
But the reason I thought that was because at first I saw Ilia, which is an expensive brand, and then I saw Physicians Formula, which is a cheap brand, and I just thought, "Oh, okay, well,
Well,
the
okay.
there's a
Okay,
common
we don't have to belabor
common
it, yeah.
denominator." Regardless, I do hear a lot of, to use a word that I hate, discourse, I hate that word, around animal protection circles regarding some of our natural allies, and I'm disagreeing with a lot of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I
And
actually, I'm the one who jotted the term "natural allies" down, and,
mhm.
I'm not sure we have any. We kind of have to force people into being our allies. But I
Unnatural.
guess I'm being too strict because an ally, I mean, they're, strange bedfellows kind of thing. We're allies on one thing and not on another, and that can happen. And I think does happen. So I'm sorry. What else
No,
were your thoughts?
unnatural allies, I guess, is,
Yeah, or
more what you're
specific allies on specific topics.
well, okay, so, obviously, when I think of allies, the first thing I think of is, like, allies to, like, the gay stuff, gay stuff, and, like, if you see a rainbow
That's
flag,
totally
maybe that
different.
person's an ally. I know,
It's
but
totally
here's what
different.
I'm thinking. So my friend who, my friend who I just mentioned is gonna be going to the picnic, like, loves making vegan food for me and has also herself been eating a lot of vegan food. Her and her husband made me this huge, spread from the Korean vegan a few months
Oh my
ago.
god.
That's going above and
I wanna
beyond.
be friends with them.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you kind of it's Trish. You're kind of you're acquaintances, you have to
Shit, I
step it
haven't
up.
gotten any food yet. So,
No, well, the night's still young. Anyhow, so she's an ally. She's a natural ally, right? Like, she would basically be doing the equivalent of the rainbow flag by being like, "Here's some Korean vegan food." But
right, and
is
I think that well, not to give away the interview or anything because it does go a lot deeper than this, but, that kind of reiterates what Bjorn said, that meat reducers I mean, meat
Meat
reducers
reducers.
are, because we want to broaden the tent. We want to have more people, and we want to make them feel like they're on our side. And I am quoting from Bjorn. So meat reducers, definitely. They're not like, we don't agree with them about everything, but it's a really helpful direction for people to be going in. We like that.
We like that. I like the meat reducer idea a lot, and, Bjorn said that he's going to be doing some more posts about it and some more research about it, but I'm not such a big fan of, you know, clinking glasses with regenerative farmers or, like,
Yeah. The
humane,
quote
quote,
unquote
unquote,
humane.
humane. And I know this is, like, not a new topic. It's just sort of like a word or two changes, but it's the same kind of topic we've been circling around for forever,
This
really.
is the first podcast, I think.
I think so too, and yet we keep circling around it, we keep discussing it, and that to me is sort of proof that they're not natural
But
allies.
I want to make clear that the reason I think that they're not natural allies isn't because I disapprove of what they're doing. I do disapprove of what they're doing, but you can have allies. Well, I don't approve of the fact that meat reducers are still eating some meat. That's not the issue. It's the whole direction of their efforts are towards farming animals in a completely non-scalable way. We're never going to replace factory farming with quote unquote humane agriculture. That's just nonsense. It makes no sense. It would make it very expensive and it would take up all the land we have. So that's just never going to happen. So what is their goal? Their goal, I guess, is to market to rich people. Um, and I don't know
Well,
whether
okay, I know
they're
what the
not doing
goal
anything to
is.
get rid of factory farming. They're just, going in a different direction, which is better, but it's not really heading towards anything that's helpful.
But I had a discussion with someone about this not that long ago, and he said, "Well, I said, "Obviously, this is not a scalable solution," and he said, "Well, let them figure that out once factory farming ends, that they'll figure out like,
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
fine. But
scale."
my point is that whatever they're doing is not going to help end factory farming. Like it's
So
just
what are they doing to
they're
end to help end it? Nothing.
they're not doing anything to end factory farming. They're doing something separate, which is marketed to richer people and makes people feel better. But factory farming will continue regardless of what they do. I mean, they can market all of their quote unquote humane meat, and it's not going to have any effect on Smithfield whatsoever. It's just a
Yeah.
separate project, and as a separate, it just doesn't seem like we share the same goals or are moving towards the same goals in any way.
Right, it's like the trope that I say every time we used to give workshops, which I'm sure I put in my book, Fabulous Vegan, which is, unless we want a world where the rich eat animals and the poor eat nothing, we have got to come up with a way to transition toward a plant-based
Right,
world.
right. They're not. We're not going to. They're not going to scale, and we're not going to change all animal agriculture to that kind of animal agriculture. That is not an option that is on anybody's table. That doesn't make any sense. So if that's not what we're going to do, then what's the point?
But if someone who feels opposite us, if a vegan, if an animal activist does feel that they
Uh
are
huh.
natural allies, if they were in this conversation with us, wouldn't they say, well, we'd rather, we'd rather coalition build with these folks than not coalition build with them?
I don't know why. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, what's the
Because
goal?
because they would, and I don't feel this way, but they would say it broadens the tent.
Well, it broadens the tent, but I mean, everybody in the tent has to like sort of be working towards the same thing. I mean, we could bring in anybody and say it broadens the tent, but we're not like it. Like meat reducers are working towards the same goal we are. They're working towards having fewer animals suffer on factory farms. Our number is zero. Their number is apparently not, but it's headed in the same direction. But I just don't get it. Like, I don't know what I would say to such people because I don't get the plan. All right.
Let me
So
ask you
so
something.
like we support humane meat producers, and do they support us? I don't know. But let's say we do. We support their work. What does that get us? What does that get animals? I mean, so rich people will have food they'll feel better about, but it's not going to stop any of the rest of the animal agriculture from continuing. So I think it's just, regardless of whether you think it's moral or immoral, I think it's just a waste of time. I, I could be wrong.
Mhm. Let me ask you something, and
I
I
always like
don't
to say that.
know.
You know why I like to say that? Because I'm a girl.
Right.
I
Like, you say
I get
something brilliant, and you end it with, "Or
I'm
not."
sure it was brilliant, but you always have to
No, but I
counter.
do it all the time. I do it literally all the time. Like, I'll say something, in a work setting that I feel very strongly about, that is totally tied into my 20 plus years of expertise in this particular area, and then there will just be a moment of silence, and I'll be like, "Or not, I don't know."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay, so let me ask you something, and I don't know if this is changing the subject or not. I'm not thinking it's changing the subject, but
I think
like
it's fine if you
there's
do
been
change the subject.
there's been a lot of talent recruitment that I've noticed in the animal protection, movement, quote unquote movement. Uh I'm quoting and unquoting because I just, it's shorthand. It's not like we get a club card when we become animal activists. But I've been seeing a lot of talent recruitment, which is something I'm very passionate about. I think that we need to recruit more talent, and I think that there are organizations like Animal Advocacy Careers that are doing really great work with that. But I have noticed that a lot of some of the institutional animal protection organizations are not requiring that these folks be vegan. They just want folks with particular skills and talents, and I get it. I
I don't
think
really
that
understand what you mean. Like, what do you mean talent? Like hiring?
yes,
You're not talking
hiring.
about like recruiting spokespeople. You're
No,
talking about
like development people or campaigns
okay.
managers, like
Yeah.
people with corporate campaigns experience.
Yeah.
There seems to be, speaking of broader tense, there seems to be, and this is somewhat anecdotal because it's what I've been noticing. There seems to be more and more folks coming in from the outside who aren't necessarily
Okay. Yeah,
vegan.
I'm not familiar with this. This is more your bailiwick.
I was talking to someone recently, totally assuming she was vegan because she worked for one of the big animal protection organizations, and she's not. She, just is,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah,
anti-factory farming.
that's new. I mean, to me.
Yeah, it's new to in the movement that
I
I've noticed
understand
anyway.
why. It's just
Yeah,
too
I do
hard to
too.
recruit people who are good when you're also
Yeah,
putting this like absolute requirement on them. So I understand why it happens.
I do too, and I'm not saying I'm against it. I just I am perplexed.
Yeah, it's
I'm
perplexing.
yeah.
Like
Uh
like what's it like to work at a animal protection organization that, has a vegan philosophy when you're not vegan? Well, people I mean non-vegans just seem to handle being non-vegan perfectly well, even though I would find it embarrassing.
Honestly, I'm thinking about things to compare it to, and I'm not gonna say any of them out loud because they would be so unbelievably inappropriate, but let's just say they have to do with, um, human trafficking, and they have to do with prison
Yeah, I
reform.
know. I don't think we should go there.
I'm not gonna go there,
So
but I
I'm
just
happy to go there immediately. But we got to face the fact that there's not that many of us, and if we can get people who are really good, you just got to hope, cross your fingers that they get on board.
yeah. Alright. Wow. Okay, so you've been doing a really great job, Marianne, of finding us good
Well,
news
thank
every
you.
week. So what have you got this week for
Yeah, I
us?
mean, I don't have a lot, but I do have
Okay.
other kinds of news. But this is from Green Queen. A left farm secures Singapore approval for cultivated beef, targets 2027 restaurant launch. I think we should plan a trip to Singapore, though I'm not totally sure because I'm not exactly sure what's involved here. So, this is this cultivated meat startup. We have not heard a lot of progress from cultivated meat. And apparently, it's not really doing all that great in Singapore, which is the place that has launched most of the products. They're launching with a bunch of restaurants, and it's probably going to be pricey. And it took them 4 years to approve this beef. Yeah, I'm so hungry. I'm looking at these pictures of food. All right, I'm going to shut up. Um, All right. And it's a hybrid. This is the part I don't understand. A hybrid meat innovation combining non modified, non immortalized cells of a premium Black Angus cow with a plant protein matrix made of soy and wheat. I don't really understand like how what that means. It sounds like they're taking cells from a cow and they're not going to be able to they're going to have to keep taking cells from a cow, which I'm not comfortable with. I want them to be able to reproduce it, but still, this is the kind of thing we should be keeping track of. It's important. So Singapore was of course the first country to approve any kind of cultivated meat, and Eat Just's Good Meat brand became available in 2020. Vow's cultivated quail. I've never even had uncultivated quail in my dark days. Also, some pet food, which is interesting, and so it's going to be available, and I think that that definitely counts as progress in a field that we have not seen a lot of progress in for a while.
Sure. Yeah. I went to Redfern last night, the
I'm
vegan
so
restaurant.
hungry. Don't.
I know. I'm
I'm
sorry.
I'm
Well,
on the
they
I'm on a fast mimicking diet. It's my last. It's 5 days and it's my last day, and I'm starving.
do you want me to not tell this
All right,
story?
I won't pay attention.
Okay, don't. So their special was all vegan, but it was a shrimp broil, and I was like, that's so weird. Like it's not like I never ate sea animals. When I ate animals, I always found it odd. For some reason, that was the
Well, it's kind of
strange
a
thing.
Jewish thing, isn't it? It's a kosher thing.
Maybe, I don't know. I wasn't kosher,
I
but
know, but your heritage and stuff,
yeah,
it
sure.
trickles down.
And so I was thinking about that story while you were talking about Aleph Farms just now. And then I went to like, why do we need cultivated meat when we have meat analogs? But we already know that.
Yeah,
So we don't have to have that
yeah.
conversation. It just seems so inexplicable, but
The whole thing,
whatever.
to list the things that are inexplicable in the world we live
Yeah.
in is just exhausting.
So bizarre. So bizarre. All right. So that was the good news. So now I guess we go to
Yeah.
the not good news.
All
So,
right.
all
We
right.
have an
Bring us
article
down.
from Kenny Torella, who I mentioned before that I think he should pay us to be his press agent since we talk about him. And you mentioned that maybe we should pay him for providing us with the content, which is
Yeah.
probably makes more sense. From
Yeah.
Vox. And this is really good information, not for you deciding what you want to eat, but for you talking to people who are constantly saying, oh, but I buy organic. Costco's organic chicken isn't what it seems. A disturbing new investigation reveals how easy it is for farms to subvert organic rules and hide animal cruelty. I love that he is highlighting the animal because there's many other things that are fucked up about organic standards and how they're not complying with them. But he's putting the animal treatment because there are some. They're not great, but there are some rules about how you can treat the chickens in organic standards, and apparently nobody pays attention to those rules. It costs twice as much as conventional chicken, he mentions. And people buy it in part because they believe that the animals are given a much better life. That is absolutely true because how many times have you been told, oh, but I buy organic?
Well, yeah, all the
Save
time.
this article because you can give them this art. Just put a few copies in your purse, or in your
Your
back
pocketbook
pocket
or your pocketbook,
or your
as you like to
pocketbook.
say.
Um, all right, so he does say that the certification does, on paper, legally require better animal welfare, more space, fresh air, outdoor access, and other improvements. So you can imagine that's really happening. So this is based on this Mercy for Animals undercover investigation at a Pilgrim's Pride supplier in North Carolina that just came out. And it's also the farm is also certified as humane by the nonprofit American Humane Society, which is just as far as I can figure out a total scam. And all right, unsanitary living. I'm not going to go into details. Don't worry. Unsanitary living conditions, severe neglect, a lot of disturbing cases of outright abuse. He tells you what they are, but I'm not going to. The farm could not be reached for comment. The certification company could not be reached for no. They declined. They were reached. They declined to be interviewed. Costco didn't respond to an interview request, and Pilgrim's Pride declined an interview request and refused to answer specific questions. So yeah, they just feel very comfortable in just say,
Mhm.
don't look over here. A spokesman for Pilgrim's Pride did say that it was deeply disturbed by the conduct at the farm, and it has dropped it as a supplier, which is always what they do, which I like to refer to, as everybody knows, as the Claude Rains excuse, because of the part that Claude Rains played in the movie Casablanca, which, if you haven't seen, like, what's wrong with you? Movie from the 40s. They're investigating Rick's cafe where there's illegal gambling going on. And Claude Rains, who's the police officer, said, "Oh my God, I had no idea. This is terrible. I had no idea," as he's collecting his winnings because he was just at the tables. Um,
Yeah,
all
that's a
right.
good
It
one.
is a good one. I can't, even though nowadays nobody's even seeing Casablanca, I can't let it go because it's so good. It's also a very good movie. Um,
Yeah.
all right. As this article points out, it reveals the immense shortcomings of governmental oversight, corporate animal welfare guidelines, and third party inspectors, because it's all just bullshit. Um, some of the things that there were violations of were requirements for outdoor access, safe ammonia levels, you can imagine, and darkness. Organically raised chickens are supposed to be given 8 hours of darkness so they can sleep. And the manager at this farm told the undercover investigator that she gives them 3 to 4 hours, except on the day that the inspector was supposed to arrive from Pilgrim's Pride, because the light makes them grow faster. These people are just unbelievable scum. A spokesperson with the USDA, which does, enforce organic guidelines, said it is unable to comment on investigation. It's just unable. They couldn't speak that day. They were like, something was wrong. Quote, upholding organic integrity and protecting organic producers and consumers is a core mission of the National Organic Program. Part of that mission includes providing due process under the law and allowing certified organic farms to come into compliance when problems occur. I mean, just think about that for a minute. They think that the role of the government in protecting these chickens is to provide the farms with due process and to allow them to come into compliance when problems occur. Well, nobody ever knows the problems occur until Mercy for Animals sends some poor benighted person in there for 2 months to take film, and then they allow them to come into compliance instead. This is so typical.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting carried
No,
away. A great
nothing about
article.
this
It
is
is, as always much more complex because Kenny always goes into great amount of detail, and also talks about how, maybe some improvements for what the organic standards should require, uh, which isn't going to happen. You
I
know,
have we pick up the dog meds at Costco, so we have a membership, and they have great frozen organic fruit. Um,
Costco. I go to Costco.
I
The one where and doesn't
also
have those little dead chickens that they're famous for. The rotisserie chickens.
yeah,
Doesn't have them.
but I'm still Costco horrifies me. I try and make my in and out as
No, they
of
have a
going in
really
there.
good reputation for their employees. Like, they pay
Yes.
better.
Yeah, I have a friend who used to work there actually,
Yeah.
and they,
But
confirmed that it was a really good job,
But yeah,
but not
somebody needs to call them out on their animal treatment. Well, obviously somebody is, because
right,
it's,
yeah.
they like to brag about what a great company they are. Well, depends who's
But
looking.
really, they're just supporting factory farms, or is it animal factories?
Oh, you're referring to this other article from Faunalytics. Yeah, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. I just thought it was so interesting. Animal factory, factory farm, or something else. And they tested language, and they found out a bunch of interesting things. People are worried about factory farming practices. They're worried about the actual way that animals are treated. They are. They don't really understand what the term factory farm means, and they don't understand what animal, like, the minute we say factory farm, we know what we mean. They don't know what we mean. Actually, the term factory farm, it turns out, this is so interesting, was invented as a complimentary term, um, in the I guess in the early part of the 1900s, to show that farms were, like, getting organized and more efficient. Um, they know it's I think people kind of know it's bad, but they don't have really any idea. So their point is a couple of points from this research. Animal factory is a better term than factory farm for making an impact on people. It drew the most negative impressions. So you might want to use that term instead.
I'm going to. I
Yeah.
love that. Definitely.
And they don't they are 2/3 of people were somewhat familiar with the term factory farm, which is a little more than are familiar with the term animal factory, but it's still they 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 didn't understand it to be as bad. The participants responding to animal factory reported strong associations with several harmful conditions for animals. So they got it, that's what that meant. Which, when you
Do
think
you
about it,
think
makes sense. You're using the term animal in the name. And we don't think of that because we're so used to it.
Do you think that people from other movements think about language as much as we do?
Well, maybe
We
not
do.
as much, because in there are not a lot of movements where people are as unfamiliar and as shut down about the issues as in our movement. But I do think language is probably important no matter where you are. I mean, I'm a lawyer. Like, that's what we do.
I just Googled another word for human trafficking just because I was curious what would come up. And it says the most common alternative term for human trafficking is modern day slavery.
I think
And
human trafficking is pretty powerful.
yeah, I do too.
I mean, modern day slavery is also powerful, but I don't think they really need, to mess with human trafficking. I think that people know what that means. What do I know? But I do think that people know what that means and know it's really, really bad. So the suggestions are to it's good to it says test animal factory. Animal advocates should treat animal factory as a promising term to explore further, not as a replacement for factory farm, and use factory farm when familiarity matters. But always explain what you mean. So animal factory is more obvious what you mean, but it's less familiar. Factory farm is more familiar, but you got to spell it out. It's always good to spell it out.
It's
the
just
term
like, I don't
industrial
know.
animal agriculture didn't really land with people.
I just feel like even when we were talking about like the, cultivated meat, and I was talking about why do we need to put all this energy into that when we have meat analogs, and we rolled our eyes and said everything is inexplicable. I just feel like we put so much into they don't understand that eating animals is bad, so let's come up with another way to say it. Oh, okay, well, let's say animal factory. Okay, well, I know, let's put and it's just like, stop eating them. I mean, they're individuals. Like I'm also like, I'm a little testy today. And
no, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I think this also connects to our conversation with Björn about what cognitive dissonance is and how hard it is to break through it, which is also really useful. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's like if we can just come up with the perfect thing to say, they'll get it.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, we don't have a lot of time because we're supposed to finish at 30 minutes and we're over. And there's stuff I want to talk about a few action alerts. I think two. One is about the Captain Paul Watson Foundation. They are currently in this campaign near Iceland, which has decided to kill fin whales because, like, why not? And it's a very, very aggressive campaign, as their campaigns always are. And their boat, the Bandero, has been seized by the Icelandic authorities, while the hunters are of course allowed to continue. And of course, Paul Watson and the foundation always take the position that what they're doing, that what the hunters are doing, is illegal. I mean, Iceland takes a different position, but they do have legal sources that back up their point that what they're doing is stopping illegality. I think that's really important. They're not just a bunch of crazy what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I mean, I just think it's important to keep that in mind. All right, they're at a crisis point. Their boat has been seized. Their people have been seized, and they've been boarded. I understand that the people have been allowed off the boat, but according to this action alert I saw, they still haven't gotten access to legal counsel, or only very limited phone calls. They couldn't make phone calls. They were searched. Property was seized. So this is bad, and we don't know what's going to happen. So they would like people to speak up, because Iceland is very vulnerable to public pressure. And we will put a link. I mean, I'm sure you could find this if you just search for it, but we'll also put a link to the action alert in the show notes. And there's
I think people should you should bookmark ourhenhouse.org, because Vicky does an amazing job of, collecting the articles
no,
that
our
we
show
talk
notes
about.
are so good, all because of Vicky. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, even if you can't listen to the podcast right away, why can't you? You could check the show notes for things like this. But anyway.
All right, there's one more
definitely.
action alert. This is from PETA. And this is ask the Senate to save animals, pass the FDA Modernization Act 3.0. And this is a law that there's huge bipartisan support. It passed in the House. It had passed in the Senate, but now they have to reconcile them. So it now has to pass in the Senate again. And they just need to do it before, Congress is over, because we just don't want this to lapse. So it's really important to talk up about it. This is the kind of law that, it's not that compelling to describe what it's about, but it's hugely important, because they passed a prior FDA Modernization Act 2.0, and that legally ended the statutory mandate for animal testing in new drug applications. But this is actually forcing the agency to do something about it. That's the Food and Drug Administration. They have to update their they passed the law, but they haven't incorporated it into their practices. And so they have to update their regulations. They have to replace outdated references to mandatory animal testing with broader non-clinical test terminology. They have to enforce timeline, just a bunch of it. Like, they passed a law, and now they have to pass another law to enforce the law that they already passed, because that's how it works in animal law. So that is a really important thing to support and to call them about, because they'll do it. This is just a matter of this isn't that controversial. It's got bipartisan support, but they could let it drop, and then they have to start all over again. So that's what I wanted to say.
Oh, well, you don't have anything else good for us, huh?
Oh, we have a few book and movie suggestions that we haven't seen or listened to, but we can't see and listen to everything, so we're just passing them on. One is a podcast from a guy named Anthony Rotano, he's a professional podcaster, and he recently woke up about animals, which is exciting, and what apparently went into a tailspin. His podcast is Life and Life Only, and he did a 3-part story
so
on what's happening to animals. I find that very moving. All right,
I do too.
Another is this movie that's on Netflix now, in which Mo Gilligan, who is apparently a very charming comedian from the UK, eats fried chicken every day for a month. It sounds like that old movie, that was where the guy who ate McDonald's for a month.
Oh, with Morgan Spurlock. Super Size Me.
Super Size Me, right. And it follows him and reveals a lot about the chicken industry in both the UK and in the US. So I don't want to watch it. I'm sorry, but
cool.
Get all your friends too who eat chickens.
Lock them in a room.
And I think
on their way home from Costco.
I think now we can get off of this. We're only 10 minutes over.
Okay, we won't get in that much trouble from Vicky. All right. Once again, we are off next week, and we will be twitching and staring at our computer screens, and we hope that you do the same.
We always say we've been doing this for, I don't know how many years, 15 years, and we've never missed an episode.
No. We've been doing this almost 17
years, and we've never missed an episode. Or we've never missed a week. And now we can't say that anymore.
Yeah, but the thing is, we say, and we've never missed a week, but now we're up 4 times a week.
Right, but still.
So
it's a whole week that goes by.
Rising Anxieties comes out on Tuesdays, except next week. The Hen Report on Thursdays, except next week. And the long form interview on Fridays, except next week. Bonus content for Flock members comes out on Mondays, except next week. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mariann, for curating another fascinating episode of the Hen Report.
Well,
and thank you for those of you who are out
all
there
of your
listening.
interesting comments.
Well, like I said, I'm a little testy today. So this is irritated jazz that you're getting as opposed to slightly less irritated jazz, but still irritated, which is my normal way I show up.
It's time to get off,
I'm
Jasmine.
hungry.
It's time to get off.
All right.